Hey, what's going on there, guys and gals? Welcome to part 2 of our video series on how to start a YouTube channel. Now, in last week's episode we talked about Shotcut, which is the absolute best free video editing software you can currently get on the internet, so make sure to go check that video out after this one, especially if you're looking to start a YouTube channel of your own. But in today's video we're going to talk about the equipment that we use to record the videos. More specifically, the camera equipment, the camera settings, the audio equipment, and of course the way we mount the cameras to our helmets. So stay tuned and let's get to it. Hi there, guys and gals, welcome to my humble abode. Here in front of me I have got all of the equipment, plus or minus a couple of things that I use on a day-to-day basis. There's also a couple of items that are off camera which we'll get onto in a moment. But what we'll do, we'll start off from left to right with the GoPro, the star of the show. So this GoPro camera is a Hero 7 Black, arguably one of the best GoPros on the market, one of the best GoPros they ever made. Some of the newer ones, apparently they've got heating issues or they have poor battery life. So the thing is, a lot of the same features of those more modern cameras are in this Hero 7 Black. So absolutely brilliant camera. These things can be had for 150 quid. So they're pretty cheap cameras, especially when compared to the more modern ones where you're looking at £400 to £500 for a Hero 10 Black. Ugh, yeah, I know, right? I'm actually looking to pick up another one of these to replace my Sony Action Cam, which I've got there in the background, you can probably see, which we'll move on to that in just a moment. But the settings that I use for this are 2.7K Super View with Hyper Smooth enabled. That is the best settings that I have found for recording on a GoPro. Now, the reason why I do that, I used to do 1080p 60 FPS, and you'll actually find that if you're exporting videos 1080p and then uploading them to YouTube at 1080p, you get some weird artifacting from the, I assume it's the codec or the encoder that YouTube uses when they're compressing the videos that you upload. So, but you can bypass that issue by uploading as 1440p. And what I used to do was upscale to from 1080p to 1440p, but of course you lose a lot of that sharpness and it doesn't quite look as good. So I use the 2.7K recording setting on this. You still get 60 FPS and you still get the hyper smooth, and then from there I can downscale to 1440p, and look, you get the best of everything. You get higher pixel density that's downscaled, so you get really good sharpness, and the YouTube encoders, whenever you upload to YouTube, seem to absolutely love 1440p. So yeah, absolutely fantastic. But moving on from that, we've got this little cable here that's sticking out. This is for the audio receiver. This is the mic for the microphone that I use, the lapel mic that I've got inside my helmet, and it records really good audio quality. It has also pretty damn good noise suppression or noise muffling or noise cancellation, background noise cancellation. It's pretty sweet, to be perfectly honest. A lot of that, of course, also depends on the mic setup that you have, which again we'll move on to in just a moment. Oh, bearing in mind all the stuff that I've got here, I'm going to leave links down in the video description for you. So if you do want to buy one of these items, feel free to go and check out those links. I'm not getting any kickback or anything like that. This is just the best equipment, or the equipment that I use, the equipment that I found provides the best bang for buck. So anyway, moving on from that, we've got the enclosure that the GoPro is in. Now, this is a fantastic little enclosure. It's completely off-brand, Ulanzi. I have no idea who they are, but it's probably just a 3D printed plastic casing. But basically, it allows me to have the GoPro mounted in the same spot as the audio adapter, the microphone adapter. So yeah, really convenient to have this all in one singular package. Pretty damn sweet, if you ask me. But anyway, moving on from that, I've got this little dictaphone here. Now, this is a choice if you would like to have an option of moving your microphone from helmet to helmet. These are a really good investment. This records the exact same audio quality as the GoPro does which is it's absolutely brilliant. I'll just bring that up now for you, what the audio quality is, but they're exactly the same. The noise cancellation arguably is a little bit better on the GoPro, I think. I don't know. I haven't quite decided yet whether or not I prefer to use the dictaphone and have the convenience of moving my microphone outside of my helmet or not. It's one of those things. So the setting that's on the that I have at the moment enabled on this Sony Dictaphone is the LPCM 44 Hz 16-bit. So that's the audio setting that I have on this. It's the best audio that the dictaphone can record, and of course that the GoPro can record as well. So yeah, pretty convenient little piece of kit. Obviously you can talk directly into the dictaphone. It has a microphone built into it, but that's not how I use it. I use it for recording the audio coming through the Lavalier, the lapel mic anyway. So it doesn't really matter to me which one I use, but this one I think is far more convenient, because inside my helmet it's basically permanently in there. And it is an expensive microphone as well that I've actually got for a Lavalier, for a lapel mic. It is quite an expensive one. It's a Rode microphone that I've got going into my helmet, and unfortunately that is a kind of like a trend. Is the higher the more expensive the audio equipment, the better it's going to be. And yeah, it's a bit of a pain, because you can get really cheap lapel mics for £5 or something like that, but this mic cost me £50. The mic going into the helmet, £50, but it does produce the best sound, in my opinion. So anyway, moving on from that, we've got this little battery charger brick. It's just a multi-battery charger for the GoPro. Fantastic. Home Suit, I've never heard of that brand before, but it came with 3 spare batteries. Pretty sweet deal, if you ask me. Bearing in mind, one thing to bear in mind is if you have got a GoPro and you're looking to buy spare batteries for it, I believe the Hero 7 batteries will work in the Hero 6 and I think the Hero 5 Black as well. But after that, so from the Hero 8 onwards, they use completely different batteries. So it's just something to keep in mind. But yeah. This here is my Sony action camera, which is an older model action cam. I think I got this in 2014. It was actually a present from my wife, and I believe this was one of the first cameras to have steady shot, or stabilization built into it. So it's quite a modern feature for the time. Unfortunately, this can only record 1080p 60, but I use this one mainly as a secondary camera. So if I'm recording anything in front of me, so if I have this normally I would have this mounted on either the wing mirror of the bike looking straight at me, because I mean, it's a bit inconvenient, isn't it, having the camera sitting like this in front of the helmet. It's a bit of a pain. So form factor again is also another issue. I have seen these cameras mounted to the side of the helmets like this before, but personally the most professional way that I've found cameras to be mounted is actually on the front here like this, and form factor for this, it doesn't really work. So having the GoPro in front of your chin, I've always found, is the best or most professional looking angle for a motovlog. But these are all things that you can experiment with. I mean, if you're looking to hook up a camera to your helmet, then yeah, you're going to have to be playing around with it quite a lot. We'll just quickly talk about this camera here. This is just a Panasonic camcorder. It's nothing really that special. It's got 4K branded on it, but actually it only records 4K at 30 FPS, and I like to record at 60 FPS. So it doesn't have 1440p, unfortunately. Yeah, a bit of a pain. It can only do 1080p 60. And this was the camera that I started using if I was standing in front of it, doing an intro in front of the camera. So it is quite a good camera, to be perfectly honest with you. It has nice colors. It has a nice lens as well. It's not too bad, and it can do 25 times zoom, optical zoom that is. So if I'm at any events or what have you, and I just want to record something, this is really convenient, just whacking this out and recording it. But the camera that I use at the moment, which is what's recording currently this video, is a Canon M50. I believe it's the Mark II model that I have, the Mark II variant. And the main reason why I have that camera is it has a massive sensor. It has a significantly bigger sensor than, say, this Panasonic camcorder here. So you get a lot more light hitting the lens, you get a lot more light being processed in the image, so you get much better, much clearer, much sharper images from a DSLR, or in this case a mirrorless camera. Yeah, absolutely fantastic camera. I'd definitely recommend a Canon M50, especially if you're doing vlogging or what have you. It's absolutely great. So I also have a couple of extra lenses for it as well. I've got a zoom lens and I've got the stock lens that came with it, which isn't the best lens in the world, but it does the job. It's pretty good at what it does, so I can't really complain there at all. But anyway, probably the most important thing that you guys want to know about is my helmet setup. So how the GoPro mount is mounted to the helmet and how the microphone is mounted. So let's what I'll do, I'll just move the camera over so we can get a better picture of this helmet. So this is my helmet, as you can see. I absolutely love the look of this helmet, but it does have a big issue. The biggest one being the visor. So the visor comes all the way down in front of your face and in front of your chin. So you can't mount a GoPro in front like this, as most YouTubers would recommend you to do. And I mean, that's just an oversight on my part, but I really love this helmet, so I wanted to make it work. So the only way I was able to do it is to mount the mount on the side of the helmet, unfortunately. But the way how I did this, the secret is with super glue. Now, I don't put super glue on the helmet itself because that will ruin the helmet and it will basically make it permanent. The way how I have this stuck on is not permanent. I can still take it off if I want to. So the way how I've layered it is I've got the sticky pad on the helmet, then super glue on top of the sticky pad, then the mount on top of that. Then I clamp it with some wood clamps overnight, 24 hours, as long as possible. After that, this has not gone anywhere. It's absolutely great. There's a story behind this. Basically, the first GoPro that I had, I lost it because I was on the motorway and the GoPro mount, all this, fell off on the motorway. There was no chance of me getting it back. I think it got ran over by a lorry or multiple lorries. So, bit of a pain, but this is the best way that I've found if you want to side mount your GoPro mount. Using a little bit of super glue, clamping it down really helps. And just for added security, I've also got this little wire here, this little piece of string, which is an anchor. So this goes inside the padding of the helmet, and basically the idea is that when I put on the helmet, it puts pressure on this string. So when this, if this falls off, if this mount falls off, the anchor should catch it, and I shouldn't lose the GoPro. So yeah, this GoPro is actually my second GoPro. So yeah, I lost about a couple of £100 on that, unfortunately. But hey, you win some, you lose some. So the mounting mechanism that I've got here is simply just a standard GoPro helmet mount, followed by some standard GoPro adapters, or whatever they're called. I'm not actually sure what these are called. Some like little extenders, I suppose you could call them. And then after that, I've got a little extender arm here. These you can buy on Amazon for really, really cheap, and normally they come in a set. So you can buy, for example, a set of 3 for, I don't know, less than £10 or something like that. It really does depend on where you live. And then finally, I've got another standard GoPro extender, which then goes on to this kind of screw attachment mount, where I can attach a lot of different cameras to. So this one's actually quite convenient. It's a quite convenient mount underneath here. But then, of course, I've got the standard GoPro mount that it comes with in the box. And then, yeah, the GoPro attaches on like so. So that's the setup that I have, and it has performed fantastically well. Yeah, it doesn't add that much extra weight to the front of the helmet. It's quite good, to be honest with you. It works quite well. It's not overly heavy. So in terms of the microphone setup, so I've got this little adapter here. So this is the adapter that you need to use in order to record audio through the GoPro. I can't remember if this is a TRS or not. I can't quite remember. Do a little bit of research on this, because if you have a look at the end here, you'll see that this auxiliary cable has 3 kind of rings going around it, 3 black rings, whereas this one has got 2 rings. I don't know if you can see that, if the camera will hopefully focus. It's not going to focus, but take my word for it. This has got 2 rings on it. This one has got 3 rings on it. So this is just a converter. If you plug this into your phone, it works absolutely fine, but plugging it into the GoPro's audio adapter, it doesn't quite work, unfortunately. So yeah, just one thing to keep in mind. So that's why this one is in here. And then basically this runs to the side of the helmet here. This is just to tidy it up a little bit, so it's not flapping about in the wind and what have you. I've just wrapped it up, put some zip ties on it, and then put some Velcro, and then stuck it onto the side of the helmet. From there, it then goes inside the helmet here, like this, goes in through the padding, and then comes out here like that. Now what's on it here, what's on the end of the microphone is called a dead cat. So this is what you use as a wind muffler. These things work fantastically well. I've actually got it attached in here alongside the stock wind muffler, the polymer wind muffler. So the dead cat I've got going over the top of it works really, really well. And the biggest problem with audio inside a helmet is you want to cut out as much wind noise as possible, but at the same time you don't want to muffle the audio too much. You want that good balance between wind noise reduction and audio quality, so you can still hear it. This way has worked fantastically well. Now the way how I actually put it inside the helmet is just inside the chin scoop like that. So when I put the helmet on, I put it to one side like this, put the helmet on, and then I actually stick it inside the wind scoop like that, or the chin scoop rather. That's it. That's the setup that I have for this lapel mic. So yeah, works fantastically well. I'm pretty happy with it. At high speeds, 70 miles an hour or so, it does struggle a little bit, and the wind noise does start to crackle the voiceover. But for the most part, I'm not doing those kinds of speeds anyway. Usually I'm doing under 50 miles an hour. So this works absolutely fantastically well. And again, it's one of those things that you have to experiment with. But yeah, really, really, really good stuff. So there's one last thing I need to show you that's off camera, which is actually one of the most important pieces of kit, and that is the microphone that I use to record the more documentary style videos. So I'll just pop it in front of the camera now for you. Like that. So that is a Samson, not a Samsung, Samson with an N at the end, microphone, and it is one of the best microphones I have ever used. If you try buying a cheap microphone, this thing sounds significantly better, clearer. You don't get any static noises or any crap like that. This is one of the best microphones I've ever had. So I'd heavily recommend, if you are going to do podcasts or videos where the audio is quite important, you want really crisp, clear audio, this is one of the best microphones I've used. It is an expensive one. It cost me about £70 new. So, like I said to you before, unfortunately, when it comes to audio, the more you spend, the better the audio tends to be. So it can connect via USB directly to a laptop, which is what I've got it set up as at the moment. And you can also hook it up to an audio DAC as well, if that takes your fancy. But yeah, absolutely fantastic microphone. And what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to move the audio from the built-in microphone on the camera to the Samson microphone, whilst I just talk about my PC hardware, the hardware that I use to edit the videos. So I build computers. My hobby is building computers, and I work in IT. So for me, I've always found it quite simple and straightforward to build my own computer. Unfortunately, that's not really the case at the moment. With the chip shortage, it's becoming harder and harder to build your own computer. However, moving on from that, the hardware that I use is a NVIDIA GTX 1080 Ti graphics card. The processor is an AMD Ryzen 7 3700X, so it's an 8-core, 16-thread CPU. I have 16 gigs of DDR4 RAM memory, and the motherboard is an MSI X570 motherboard. That's the specs that I use. I also have an SSD boot drive. So video encoding works really, really well on a machine like that, and I kind of brushed over it a kind of mentioned it in the part 1 video on Shotcut, where you do kind of need a beefy computer to edit videos effectively. Now, one person did leave a very, very useful comment on the Shotcut tutorial video with some extra hints and tips for anyone that is using a more lower spec or older machine. So make sure to go check out that comment. I'll actually pin it on the video, because yeah, he's mentioned, well, they mentioned quite a few useful things in there that I didn't know about Shotcut. So yeah, make sure to go and check that out as well. But right, hopefully that gave you a nice view of, or a nice, what's the word, preview between the differences of the Samson microphone and the microphone built into the camera. Hopefully it's given you a bit of distinction between the two. But yeah, so I mean, to be perfectly honest, just rounding up this video, the only real things you need to get started, this is all the stuff that I use, but really the only things you need are a mobile phone, a GoPro, and a helmet mount with a decent lapel microphone. That is all you need to get yourself started motovlogging, to be perfectly honest with you. You don't need all the other stuff that I've mentioned. Those are the 3 bits and pieces that really you can do a lot with. And maybe a dictaphone would also be useful to you. So maybe that would also be a good investment, depending on how much flexibility you want on your shoots. But anyway, guys and gals, I think I'm going to leave the video here. Make sure to leave us a like, comment, and subscribe. Make sure to let us know your thoughts on motovlogging. If you are a motovlogger yourself, make sure to let us know what your setup is and if you have any further recommendations for future motovloggers. But yeah, I think that'll conclude part 2 in this video. If you have any questions or what have you, make sure to drop them in the comments and I'll do my best to answer them for you. But yeah, hope you've enjoyed this one. I hope it's been informative. And yeah, I don't think there's anything more about the production that I can really come up with here. So but in the future, of course, if I do come up with anything else that might be useful for motovloggers, I will be sure to let you know. But anyway, that'll do for this one, guys and gals. Thank you ever so much for watching. We'll catch you in the next one. Bye.